Welcome. It is 3:30, so I thought we would just get started. I am Noelle Savoyan, Ag Development Specialist, manage the Working Lands Initiative, and I'm here with
Melissa Moon, Grants and Contracts Specialist here at the Agency of Agriculture. I will be your go-to for the next 18 months, but we are a team here and we're so excited to be able to have this webinar here with you today and give you your orientation to your future.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations. We're really excited that you guys are our wonderful slate of business grantees this year. It's really exciting. It's been a really neat process this fall in our fourth round of the initiative. So thanks a lot for being here. And for those of you who are on the line, welcome. And for those of you who are tuning in later, because it is recorded, welcome as well. So here we go. So we'll start by giving you, and this is Noelle speaking, I'll give you an overview of the program just so you can get a little more familiarized with where we're coming from, where we're at, and then Melissa Moon is going to take over and walk you through the next steps in order to get your grant agreement up and rolling and moving. So just a quick overview of our admin team. You may have seen Chelsea's emails from her or seen her around before, but Chelsea Barta-Lewis is our section chief within the business development section. So she plays a big role with the initiative. And Melissa Moon below is sitting next to me, and she is our grants and contract specialist for the Ag Dev division.
And it's really important to know, see there on that previous slide, that when Melissa's not in the office, she can be found out in the woods, getting fungi, wild edibles, and learning sustainability.
Yes, wonderful. And I'm up there at the top. My name again is Noelle, and I coordinate and manage this program. When I'm not in the office, I can be found teaching spinning classes or singing in a band or being outside. I love that as well. Emma Hansen, she is our counterpart here with the Working Lands. She's our other coordinator, and she has just completed a portion of work with the Forestry Committee and a bunch of other things as well. Jared Duval, who is over at the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. He's the Economic Development Director over there, and he's also designee to Deputy Secretary Lucy LaRiche, who holds a seat on the Working Lands Enterprise Board, and he has put a vast amount of time and energy into the program and the grant process as well. Matt, oh, go ahead.
Okay. And Matt Lineless, he is designee for Mike Snyder, who's the Commissioner of Forest Parks and Rec. Matt is been a consulting forester. He served as the Caledonia and Essex County forester. So he provides a lot of technical assistance, information, outreach. He has his own Christmas tree farm, and he is on the board, and we really depend on his expertise.
Great. So thanks again for being here. Afterwards, I plan on posting this webinar, and I think what's more realistic is we'll email it to you in recording form and PowerPoint. We'll just make sure you have a link to get to it right in an email so you can reference it whenever you need to. All right, here we go. So the working landscape consists of ag, forestry, and forest product-basst businesses. And ag, that includes value-added products as well, and the food system. Approximately 20% of Vermont's land is used for ag purposes and 75% as forestry. So how did this all come to be? The Vermont Council on Rural Development created and led the Council on the Future of Vermont, and they conducted a study of Vermonters, and that study found that over 97% of Vermonters put the working landscape as one of their #1 values. And then, it came to be in 2012, the Working Lands Enterprise Initiative passed through the legislature and came to be Act 142. And we're going now, that was our first year, and we're now in the middle or ending our 4th year. No. So there are nine goals of the initiative. Number 1, stimulate an economic development effort on behalf of Vermont's ag and forest product sectors by systematically advancing entrepreneurism, business development, and job creation. Number 2, recognize and build on the similarities and unique qualities of Vermont's ag and forest product sectors. Number 3, increase the value of Vermont's raw and value-added products through the development of in-state and export markets. Number 4, attract a new generation of entrepreneurs to Vermont's farm, food system, forest, and value-added chain by facilitating affordable access to the working landscape. 5, provide assistance to ag and forest product businesses in navigating the regulatory process. Number 6, use Vermont's brand recognition and reputation as a national leader in food systems development, innovative entrepreneurism, and as a green state to leverage economic development and opportunity in the ag and forest product sectors. Number 7, promote the benefits of Vermont's working lands from the economic value of raw and value-added products to the public value of ecological stability, land stewardship, recreational opportunities, and quality of life. Number 8, increase the amount of state investment in working lands enterprises, particularly when it leverages private and philanthropic funds. And 9, support the people and businesses that depend on Vermont's renewable land-based resources and the sustainable and productive use of the land by coordinating and integrating financial products and programs. So it's a lot, but that's what the Working Lands Enterprise Initiative aims to do, and those are our main focal points. So mission and vision: strengthen and grow the economies, cultures, and communities of Vermont's working landscape. The board achieves this by making essential catalytic investments in critical leverage points of the Vermont farm and forest economy, and facilitating policy development to optimize the ag and forest use of Vermont's lands. So here is our current board. Last year, it actually passed through the legislature to increase the board size. So we're now a 20-member board, which is really incredible. We have non-voting members on the board who provide excellent partnerships. So we have Joe Bradley from Vermont Economic Development Authority, her designee Sarah Isham, Ellen Taylor from the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund, Gus Seelig from the Vermont Housing Conservation Board, and his designee Ella Chapin. And
I will also note that Ella, not only farm viability program, but we now have the forestry viability program that is making great strides.
Excellent point. So program outcomes to date, this is what we reported to the legislature this season. So it's really exciting. To date, over the projects that have completed, we've realized 106 new jobs. Aggregate gross income for those businesses have increased by over $12 million. And projected, so if all of those projects that are out there now are finished, in total we're projecting 230 new jobs and an aggregate gross income increase of over $25 million. And a quick ROI for the initiative is for every $10,000 invested, we're seeing gross income increases of 10 times and 1 new job. And here's a little overview of the past 4 years, what we have seen in demand, and also what we've invested in terms of funds that were available. So the first year, we had about $1 million. We invested into 36 projects, and those projects, you know, matching funds come in, so we've leveraged an additional $1.3 million. And you can, you know, look down for the other years. So FY14, we funded 40 projects, 129 total applicants, and so on and so forth. This year we had 114 total applicants, $3.3 million in requests, and we had half this year of what we usually have to fund out. And in terms of grantees, so right now we're keeping it a little bit on the down low, just until, you know, the grant agreements are finalized and rolling. But we'd ask you, and Melissa will talk about this as well, but we would ask you to just refrain from putting it as a press announcement until we're going to have a really great press event on Tuesday, May 17th, which will be a really fun day, where we'll invite you and anyone else who'd like to go, and we'll all get together and make it a fun public event to celebrate successes. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Melissa Moon, and she is going to walk you through next steps and things you need to be aware of and actions you need to take. Take it away, Melissa.
Okay. So we're getting into the meat. I have vegetarian friends that say the tofu of this project, although I have very dear meat farmers, and I think one is on this call. Regarding the webinar and regarding your grant. And over this next year, next 18 months in fact, we're going to be in communication, contact. I will be with you to help through the challenges, the excitement, and the regulatory process as we go through. So this is to give you an orientation of the grant agreement and your next steps. So now looking at what are the important sections of the grant agreement that you will receive. And as you know, you applied for your Working Lands grant via our grants management system. That has been a huge learning process for us over the past year. And you have navigated successfully, and we're going to be moving forward with this. So the actual grant agreement you will receive will have a cover page. It'll have start and end dates and the amount of your grants. Attachment A is your statement of work. That's what you put into your application in which you stated what you were going to do, your goals and outcomes. We're going to get into the more details here. Attachment B are the payment provisions. C are standard state provisions. D are other provisions that are related to your grant agreement. We're also going to be looking at other rules and regulations regarding grants, some of the state requirements. And as I said, the grants management system for submitting claims for reimbursement, your reports, financial documentation, and for working with your grant. We'll also just remind you of the resources that are available on the VermontWorkingLands.com website.
And really quick, just to tag a little tagline, on the 5th, next Tuesday, for any of you who are interested, we're hosting a resources webinar for Working Lands businesses from 10 to 11 a.m. And that will all be posted after too, so we'll have a recording up on the site. But just in case you'd like to attend live.
And how do they get information about that webinar?
They could actually email me, and I'll be sending out another email blast probably tomorrow or Friday, and I'll make sure to include their email address.
Awesome. So the cover page of your grant agreement, it will have your project title, your start and end dates, the maximum amount payable, and the person that you have chosen to be your contact person. Here's an example cover page. This is the top half. Notice the start date, the end date, and the total award amount. Now these are really important for you to note as we go forward. The bottom half shows the grant amount again, and then it has your contact information at the bottom. So this is, as I say, your guiding document. You'll want to have this handy to refer to, especially when it comes time to submit reports and to track your progress. So to set up your grant, you must provide a W-9 with your name, business name, address, and Social Security or EIN. If you're a business, an LLC, typically you will have a state EIN, and that is a requirement for application anyway. You will also need to provide a certificate of insurance. In your application packet was a copy of the attachment C that listed the amounts of insurance coverages and its farms and forestry operations. Many of you have insurance already, so what you need is the COI, as we call it, lists the state of Vermont, the agency, as an additional insured. We also need verification that your matching funds are in hand right now and ready to be used. And we'll explain that a little later. So attachment A contains your statement of work, and then you'll hear SOW for statement of work. So that has what your project is going to do, how and when, and it also includes your reporting requirements as well as your project budget. Attachment A will also include your project goals, performance measures, and outcomes. These are very important because you are accountable for the outcomes indicated in your grant agreement. Final payment is based on progress toward your outcomes. And actually, we are also, as the Working Lands Enterprise Board, are responsible, in a sense, for your outcomes because we have performance metrics that we, in turn, provide the legislature as to how well the projects are doing. And it's usually our three metrics are jobs, increased output, and increased gross income. And Noel has been at the center of that for quite a while. So we not only recommend, you will be required to reevaluate your outcomes. In fact, Noel may be sending you or has already sent you, will be sending you emails regarding revised outcomes.
Yeah, it will actually come right from the grants management system site, so you'll see that notification. And your goals template will be basically renegotiated back to you. We'll go over it a little bit more.
Yeah. Go ahead later. But it's important. So we're recommending that you reevaluate your outcomes because they need to be clear, concise, and measurable. So we recommend you select no more than 5. If you report outcomes in percentages, we need a baseline knowing where you started. Qualitative outcomes are also important, is like how you will be better off. At least one of your outcomes should align with our Working Lands metrics: jobs created, increase in output, increase in gross income. It always helps to repeat these things frequently so that we just have them in mind.
Just to chime in, yeah, so we're referring to that the goals, performance measures, and outcomes template that was already submitted, approved, but at this point now we're opening it back up to be edited. So that's what you'll see in that email. You'll have a chance to edit it, and I'll have messaging in there so you know what we're looking for and what you'll need, what we like, what we don't like, and what we need to see within your template to really make it shine in that agreement.
Right. So here's some examples: goals, performance measures, and outcomes. This is based on more we have farm to school grants, but provide local food to area schools, and your performance measures, how you're going to measure. You've done this before, but this just gives you a good template. And see, with that top one, we say 15% increase year one, so our baseline is 9,000. The third one down, we have a baseline. So when you have percentage increases, percentage decreases, it helps to have a baseline, because that way we know where we are starting from. So as Noelle just said, your goals and outcomes form will be reopened for negotiation. You'll receive an email from the system. Will look something similar to this. Noelle will customize it, but it will include specific recommendations for your revisions. And this here tells you how to do that. So after this is, the link is sent to you, you can back to this and follow these steps to renegotiate and modify your goals and outcomes. Continuing in attachment A, you'll have an interim report and a final report. With your online interim report, and I think as part of your acceptance, you were also asked to send a headshot. Is that correct? Yes, and maybe we're getting to that. But for your interim report, we would like 2 before high resolution images, one of you or the other of your business, farm, forestry, project site.
Yeah, anytime within, the next, if you can get it to me within the next month, that would be great. I'm looking for a photo that represents your business. So it could be a farm or, logging site photo, or it could be your logo, but something exciting that we can share if we do a PowerPoint at the press event, where we can, to get your a visual view of your business. Yes.
And many times we know your business's names, but it's, as we know, pictures are worth 1,000 words, and so it's like to know who you are. With your online report, also uploaded to the GMS, 4 high-resolution after images highlighting your accomplishments, impact, and completed work. Also, any documents, posters, presentations, web pages created, and meetings held, it's very important that you credit working lands as a source of project funding. And we have some very accomplished technical assistance providers out there, and they get going and even they forget to do this sometimes. So it's important to remember to acknowledge the source of your funding from the Working Land Enterprise Board, especially if you're at a meeting and you can chat it up. So there's the logo. Now, we go on to budget. And I think this one, there we go. It's how it's formatted. The budget submitted with your application will be pulled into your grant agreement. With the GMS, it may not look exactly like this, but this is your original budget. With your final report, you will submit your final budgeted versus actual. So you'll have the original, and then you'll put how it actually turned out at the end. Sometimes costs shift over the course of the grant process, and the state of Vermont doesn't, basically what we're looking at are your outcomes, so we don't micromanage the funds except when we may need to shift in the GMS because that will not be as flexible. Well, we're learning as flexible as when you just call me. But each of you are strongly encouraged, and it was part of the application, to acquire QuickBooks or another similar financial management software that accurately tracks your expenditures and receipts and your in-kind labor time. And I can't stress strongly enough the importance of keeping all of your receipts. Attachment B. This is the part that will be important for you because this is how you get your money. Attachment B contains the payment provisions and the payment plan and schedule, any requirements, reports, and steps needed before your payment can be made. Working land grants are what we call reimbursement grants, so it means that payments are only made after your expenses are incurred. So initial payments, anticipated immediate expenses will only be paid when accompanied by estimates or purchase orders or appraisals dated no more than 30 days prior to your grant application. So if you're getting a big piece of equipment, so you've got big construction costs, and you know those are coming up really soon because spring is coming, winter was never here or wasn't here very much, and you're ganging to go. So if you have large upfront costs, this is how we're going to do this. So you will upload your estimates, purchase orders to the grant management system, and your initial request for reimbursement should occur no later than 2 months after your grant start date. It's important that we get things moving here because we have sometimes, if they language too long, we wonder, how's it going? So your invoice to us is for not more than 40% of the total grant, less required matching. Now, so business grants are a one-to-one match. So you need 40% of the total grant and that same amount as a match, one-to-one at least. Your interim report payment is made after your interim report has been submitted, along with documentation of your expenses, an invoice for expenses less your required matching, and the interim report payments are typically for a second 40% of the total grant with the matching. Final payment is determined after receipt, analysis, and approval, and I would say the interim report payment is also after approval of your interim report. But the final payment is determined after analysis and approval of your final report, and achievement toward your outcomes has been demonstrated. Now, I mean, you might be worried, what if I don't? And so if outcomes are not achieved, because we've had grantees who, just before their grant, had a barn fire. We understand. Last year, winter was really, really long. This year it wasn't. But last year, because winter went so long, a lot of construction projects didn't get started until later. That impacted a lot of our grantees. So these are the mitigating factors that are really important to explain in your reports and with a rationale why outcomes may not be achieved. For some, it might be that the market has changed dramatically, like the price of oil went significantly down in the past 2 years. So final project expense documentation, your budgeted versus actuals reconciliation, and an invoice. Don't forget to include your invoice. I can't tell you how many people will say, when do I get my money? And I'll say, did you send an invoice? So, just sometimes the simple things. Attachment C contains the standard requirements for all grants. This is you might call boilerplate that is every contract, every grant in the entire state of Vermont has attachment C. It has, here's the liability limits that need to be in your certificate of insurance. Here's the COI information. And my colleague in our business office, and you'll hear from her too, Donna Gilman, if we don't have a COI, you don't get your grant agreement. When we get your COI, at that time, if we've got everything in order, you get your grant agreement. Also, the attachment C says that you need to be in compliance with regard to state Vermont taxes paid, or else your taxation may take part of your grant. If there's a child support order, you are current. All of your records are available for audit. You cannot subcontract without prior approval. Let me know. And then we can just have, we've got documentation that you're subcontracting, or you already have it in your scope of work that you submitted. Attachment D. This is also a very important part of your grant agreement. This has the matching verification. So we need a statement showing that your reserve, your one-to-one match, in the amount of the match are available and ready for use now. They may be through one of these, or you may have a third-party statement of funds that are being provided for matching purposes. If you have in-kind matching, we need to know the number of hours and the hourly rate, details of knowing who is doing the in-kind work, and that they're not getting $300 an hour for their work. So they're fair and reasonable. So grant work can't begin until matching funds are in hand and have been verified. Match. Matching and grant funds are spent at the same time as specified in your grant agreement. So there are some ineligible expenses for matching. Overhead and indirect costs. We call this the cost of doing business. Your office, your copier paper, the phone line, your just everyday business costs. Internet, cell phone, food, meals, and entertainment costs, items purchased for personal use. So those are ineligible. Other grant requirements, attachment D. This one's important, and I'm going to take a glass of water. Because I'm talking a lot. So, real and expendable property. So, a lot of you are doing capital projects. Tangible property has a useful life of more than 1 year and costs $300 or more. It's important you notify me of all, or in your project, non-expendable or real property items with purchase of grant funds that cost more than $1,000. After your grant has ended, you're still responsible to the state for the items you've purchased. Items costing less than $1,000 may be used for other activities without reimbursement to the state. Real or non-expendable property costing more than $1,000 may be used for your business after the end of the grant agreement. They're yours for your business. However, if you sell property acquired with grant funds costing more than $1,000, you'll need to pay back the state. It's important. We just need to put this in here to cover and to be responsible to the taxpayers of Vermont that are funding these working lands grants. I don't think this will be an issue, but it's important that we keep this in here. An example. Grant project, $20,000, $5,000 in matching, non-expendable property item acquired with grant funds is sold, current market value $3,000, so that matching funds was only a quarter for this one. This was going on the old model. If it went on this year, since it's a 50-50 match, it would only be, compensation would be $1,500. Attachment B, again, you need to be ready to begin project work. Another important thing, we like to come and see your project and cheer you on. So members of the Working Lands Administrative Team and or members of the board, often a member of the board that lives in your area, will come to have a site visit during the course of your grant agreement. It's also important for you to know that your grant, the amount of your grant, your names are all public information. So except for your home address and everything, anything, the amount of your grant awards, all information is considered public information and is open to inspection and may be included in responses to public records requests. We do, and we have had requests for the names of all applicants for Working Lands grants. So you may be contacted by other Working Lands partners, the Working Lands Partnership, legislators and or our stakeholders, some of our technical assistance providers, members of the board, about your Working Lands project. You may be contacted by members of the media because our grantees, and especially after our PR event in May. So when can work begin? Start and end dates. You can't begin until the grant agreement has been fully executed, signed by you and then countersigned. Expenses cannot be incurred nor matching funds utilized until the grant is fully executed. Funds spent before the grant has been fully executed will not count toward matching. Exceptions are granted on a case-by-case basis only, but it's important to get points 2, 3, and 4 first before we mention that we do have some exceptions on case-by-case basis, only with the approval of the grant administrator. Hi, that's me. So when you receive your grant agreement, and we are working, these will be going through our grants management system. It's going to take a few weeks to process all of these. But when you receive it, carefully review, sign, and then return your agreement by email as soon as possible. Well, actually, you will. No, it'll go by email back to our business office. And then we will keep a copy of it probably in your GMS file. But it's important for you to have a hard copy to use as a reference throughout your Working Lands grant project. So, oh, I see a typo. Cool.
First one.
Yes. Working Lands business grants are for 18 months. Early completion of grants will only be considered when your outcomes have been reached. It's very important because these outcomes are what we and you are accountable for. So if they have been attained prior to your end date, we will review your final report and consider it for early completion. So the timeline. No later than the end of April, we should have your grant agreements finalized and sent to the business office. Our goal here is no later than May 1st for the start date for most grants. Project work to begin. So in May, as applicable, you can begin to submit claims and individual invoices to the GMF as noted in attachment B. And just emphasizing that. So 9 months from the start of your grant, your interim reports will be uploaded. You'll upload them to the grants management system. after the start date. So that'll be around February or March next year. We will have interim report forms in the system for you to complete or download and complete. Interim invoices are processed after review, receipt review, and approval. Your end dates will be somewhere between September and October 2017. So 17 months after your start date, think about starting to gather your data and finalizing your expenditures. No more than 30 days after your end date is due, we need your final report and all supporting documentation. Your final budget, receipts, photos, final invoice, and your matching documentation. Now, thought we would show you a few of the screens that you will see now as we move from applications, although I will say, as right now, for negotiating your outcomes back, you will go back to My Applications. After we have finalized your grant agreements, then you will go to My Grants. When you click on My Grants, you'll then go to this screen that says Grant Tracking, and you will have a grant that will appear right here. Once you click on it, you will get a screen something like this. I pulled this out of the manual for us, but I wanted to at least show you a screen of what it might look like. It'll have general information, claims. This is where you will click to submit a claim, your status report, your interim and final report, your budget, any site visits as we arrange them, and then also down here, it's not on the screen, will be a tab or a link for communication. When you want to send us communication about your grant, something comes up and we need to extend your grant and make it longer. And I don't think I mentioned amendments, but things come up during the course of your grant agreement. We may need to shift expenses. We may need to change your scope of work. That's where the communication with me really comes in important, and so that we can work through with you on these things. So our website is remoteworkinglands.com, and you can download all the forms from the website, the W-9, the matching verification form. I believe we have the Working Lands graphic file, and the direct deposit form. This is called an ACH, means Automatic Clearing House. We strongly recommend that you complete that form because that allows for your grant funds to be put directly into your bank account rather than having a hard copy check that can be lost in the mail. And that form you send directly to finance. Here's my information. Phone, 828-3828, melissamoon@vermont.gov. This is our address. It's time for questions and answers. There is a chat box that you should have there. If you would like to submit any questions, I think Noelle got she's our pro with this. So, can we add another contact person to receive email updates about our grant and updates to the grant management system? I believe in the system you can have more than one person as part of your grant. I know when you were setting an application you could.
I believe you can add more people, but there's one primary email address that it would be sent to. You can certainly update that in the system, but we'll go take a look. We'll go take a look and figure it out, and we'll get back.
And they only provide for one point of contact.
I think it does.
And that's important if it's more than one farm working on a project. Okay. Other questions? Oh, do we need to no, that's right. No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Well, if questions come up, feel free to email myself or Melissa. Oh, here we go. Maybe. Okay, there's another one. A portion of our grants needs to begin in April as we secure or get going for May. Is flexibility available? That's something you want to email Melissa directly about, and she can certainly work with you. We understand that there's different situations that require different needs.
Answer is yes.
Great. We'll take one more moment for questions. All right. Well, here we go. Okay, so we working hours, I think safely between 7:45 and 4:30. We have meetings throughout the day, so feel free to call us, leave a voicemail. We'll get back to you. Shoot an email. We might not get back to it at the same moment. We could be working on something else. But I say I like to give myself a 24-hour get back to you period. So I'd say anywhere in that range, we would get back to you. Does that work for you? Yeah.
But yeah, I'm fairly prompt with emails.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being so attentive and for being here to attend this webinar. And we've recorded it, so hopefully I don't have to watch and listen to myself again, but Melissa sounded great. So we'll email that out to you so you have it for your reference. And we wish you the best as you get moving with your projects.
I think there's one more screen after the question and answer. If you minimize that.
Yep. Oh,
click.
Oh, yes.
Now, look at this.
Oh, great.
This is very important, especially for you listening to the recording and who weren't able to take part in the webinar, but you're listening to the recording. So this is, once you click again, we are cheering you on. So just remember that we are your cheerleaders. I am here, and we are all here to help you succeed. We are invested in your success,
yes, we are.
And we're really excited about your project. This is Clover. Clover is the Agency of Agriculture mascot.
She sure is the mascot. And this is I guess that's all we need to say. But for those who are watching the recording, this is very important.
Very important information. I think if any of you were at the farm show, you may have seen Clover during Consumer Nights. She may show up this summer too when we have our Taste of Vermont. We have a big event on the State House lawn too.
Yeah, Buy Local Market.
Buy Local Market, that's the words. Buy Local Market. So we really do thank you all for taking part in this webinar, for being attentive.
And congratulations.
Congratulations. Yay!
All right, have a wonderful evening and be in touch with any more questions.
Oh, somebody is writing a question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.